Before I get into today's announcement, I just want to make some comments. I have been out and about asked, but we had a situation where you had an illegal alien driving one of these massive semi trucks in Florida. Was not a license in Florida. Had a California driver's license, of
Okay.
course, and going down the
So he had a California driver's license, but he was driving in Florida. Okay, so
lane, and I think we've all who've driven in Florida, there'll be breaks in these highways where it'll be for official use only, and that's really for the highway patrol and law enforcement to be able to get around and do what they needed to do.
okay.
Well, this guy thought that he should just try to turn a semi truck around in that, and of course that doesn't happen on a dime. So you had a car coming, run into it, and it ended up killing 3 people.
Whoa. So you telling me that this guy literally made a U-turn on one of those like middle portions of the road where only like state troopers or like emergency services can make a U-turn? Like that's crazy. Like how do you make a U-turn? You're supposed to be a truck driver. Like that is your livelihood. That's your job. Your career is to like drive from point A to point B. Like where yeah, I don't know if California has different set of rules or they're trained people differently, but in Florida that's kind of crazy.
From Florida.
You made a U-turn on Turnpike. I take Turnpike almost like every day, pretty much every day, twice a day. I think I take Turnpike the most. I take Turnpike more than I-95, but you can't make a U-turn nowhere on any of these highways. So I don't even know where that's how he caught. How can you probably have thought that was even okay?
And that should
Like,
have never happened. He should have never been here. He certainly shouldn't have gotten a commercial driver's license from California. And, it's disturbing, too, because if you look, we have video of this. We have photos of this. And he seemed to not like, I mean, it was almost like, he's walking down the sidewalk, maybe stubbed his toe, just kind of like, it was like, it didn't register to him, what had happened. And I'm like,
yeah, I really want to see what this guy looks like, cause yeah, this the way governor is like describing this guy is like he just didn't even care that he killed these people. Like,
that is really, really cold. But it raises these issues of in Florida, what we've said is we're not giving licenses if you're here illegally. We're not giving ID cards. In fact, you can't even do like these NGOs want to issue.
listen, we ain't giving nothing away in Florida. You feel me? Like this ain't that state, bro. Look, Ron DeSantis ain't playing with y'all, man. You
But
know
we
what I'm
don't
saying?
allow that. We don't recognize California driver's licenses. And so we're creating a
Okay.
situation where following the law is the right thing to do and violating the law is the wrong thing to do. Now, California, they do it differently. They invite people to come illegally. They provide benefits. They provide a lot of different.
Damn, is this true? California invites people. I mean, I know their laws are different, but like, yeah, I feel like Florida's a little more strict when it comes to these things in California.
Things. I mean, honestly, some of them get treated better than blue collar Americans out there with their policies. So that ends up attracting. It creates more of this, and it's frustrating because here we are in Florida. We are doing the right thing. I mean, in the legislate, I've got Jay Broder and these guys have helped us craft these policies. Blaise Angolio is now the chief financial officer, instrumental working on some of this stuff over the years. We've worked really hard on it, and then to have like a California send this guy in and create havoc for our state, that's just fundamentally wrong. But what it shows is it can't just be like we do things right in Florida and somehow that's going to cure what's happening on the left coast.
Nah, he's so right with that not because like one state is doing things this way that all the other states are gonna follow in line, are gonna all do the same thing. You feel me? Like I feel like with Florida, I mean I've been in Florida for a good amount of time. I feel like we have our own. Florida has their flaws, they have their ups and downs, but yeah, California, definitely has a different set of rules. They play by a different set of rules. So I completely get where he's coming from with that. But I don't think anybody that's driving, when you're driving through these states, I think there should be more regulations. There should be more, I would say, more procedures, more stops, more traffic stops, because man, we got to stop these senseless killings. Like people that drive these semi trucks and they don't really know what they're doing. They get behind a wheel and they kill an innocent family that's just trying to get home or just trying to get to and from somewhere. It's so unsafe now. Like I remember I was on a turnpike I think a couple days ago, and there's like a death toll is so high. Our death toll in the turnpike is super high. I don't know what it is. Like every day that I've gone on the turnpike, somebody was dead on that side of the street. Like
some other places. Ultimately, Congress has the power of the purse. They do not need to fund you if you're a sanctuary state. They can remove funding from sanctuary cities. So stop subsidizing this. You have people that are in Congress that are complaining about what happened. And while I appreciate the sympathy, it's like you guys have the power of the purse. You can discipline these states that don't.
Yeah, Congress, man. I don't even want to get too much into politics. I mean, he's saying that they have the power, the position to kind of like make rules, set these things forward so that we can kind of like stop or kind of like mitigate, maybe decrease the amount of things that are happening on the road. Congress, yeah, they have the power to all of that, but we all know, a lot of the people in Congress, they just sitting in the chair taking up space. They're not really working. They're not really serving how they're supposed to be serving. And the ones that know what I'm talking about, they know what it is, man. The Congress people, it's the most corrupt system probably. I don't know. Some of those people need to get out the chair. They've been sitting in that position for years, decades, and still haven't left. They got to do something about that.
Follow the law and incentivize law breaking. You could do that very quickly. You also can address another problem with this situation. This guy comes in from India illegally across the U.S.-Mexico border.
Wait, so he's a immigrant. So he came in from another. So he's not even a citizen. I don't know. We got to hear more of this story because this don't sound too good. This not gonna end well for brother. This ain't ending well for him.
And he claims asylum. Now think about that. It'd be one thing if when people, would come from Cuba and they claim asylum because this was the first place they could get to, right? And you've had situations where this has happened. You're coming from India. How many other countries are you going through? And then you show up in the southern border and say asylum?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you get asylum somewhere else?
I can't. Ron DeSantis, you the man, bro. Listen, it's facts though. I mean, how many other places he could have chosen to go to before he got to where he was at? Like, I feel like it's true. I mean, like, I think Cuba is really close to Florida, so I could see somebody coming straight to Cuba. Coming straight to Florida from Cuba and making this like their first stop because like Florida and Cuba, like Miami and Cuba, they're really not that far. Key West, Cuba, they're really not that far from each other. So I could see somebody making their first stop to maybe go to Miami first if they're trying to seek asylum or something like that. But maybe a guy like this driver that his name is Harajinder Singh that killed 3 people on this turnpike. Maybe he could have passed by multiple other places and he could have seeked asylum in those countries or those cities. He went straight to, I don't even remember where they said he went to. Let me see.
So
Let me see.
How many other countries are you going through? And then you show up in the southern border and say asylum? Like, why didn't you get asylum somewhere else?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, if he had to pass through all these other cities and all these other places, he could have sought asylum outside of his country at the nearest stop outside of his country. But he basically got to the border of Cali and made his way there,
So they're abusing the process and the statutes that we have in the United States of America, and they're trained to do this. So you have massive numbers of people that have claimed it. Millions and millions have claimed it, just leaving country in Central America. They're not truly seek. They're just basically economic migrants, however you're doing it. And so you have this incentive. So he was basically given some type of preliminary determination to say, okay, you'll have a hearing in 2 or 3 years.
And I'm going to be honest, like there's so many, like I feel like there's so many incentives and benefits for people that seek asylum, that just get to our country. Like there's so much like grant, like funding for people that just come to the country. It's crazy. Like they'll be set for life. I think they get like Social Security. They get like some type of like Social Security number. There's some type of funding that they actually get immediately when they get to this country. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a real big issue with people coming in the border and not coming in the right way. And yeah, it's this is and now they're making it a bigger deal because he killed people, and he originally is not even, he's an immigrant. They're saying he's an immigrant illegally, allegedly. They're saying he's an immigrant, but I don't know. I gotta hear more to the story, but it's really not looking good for this guy.
And then it gets pushed, and then it gets pushed, and all this stuff. And it's basically a one-way ratchet. You can come in pretty much unfettered. Well, in the past you could illegally. And then if there's any type of law enforcement, it's like this massive bureaucratic maze that you have to go through. And so Congress can address that too. Congress can address the abuse, that we're seeing in this asylum process, because I'd say 95% of the people that are claiming it just factually do not even come close to meeting what should be. But they do. They say the magic words. They get an initial determination. They get a court date, and you do. And that was something that happened with this guy that came in illegally from India. So to have a three...
And the crazy thing is that, like, okay, he came in illegally. He's an immigrant. Okay, we get it, right? However he got here, he was seeking asylum, or he just wanted to maybe financial reasons, or he had family here. Whoever knows what's the reasons how people migrate into the United States and end up here, right? It's the fact that, like, he got here and his papers and his stuff wasn't correct, and he ended up killing somebody, and he's not even a citizen. He's an immigrant. He's not even from here, and he ended up killing somebody. And I think that's what's making it even worse, is like, I know they're trying to push the agenda of, like, okay, they're trying to get immigrants out. And me personally, like, I don't have anything against any of that. It's a really tough situation. I have a lot of friends that are not from the country, and it would hurt me and make me feel some type of way if some of my friends had to get sent back home or wherever country they're from, because this is pretty much their new home. So I feel the immigrants on this situation, but they got to capitalize on, like, figuring out a better way to get people in the country the right way, or help people get in the country without them getting in illegally. I don't know. But this whole thing is about him being, they're pushing this immigrant agenda where they're trying to get the immigrants out the country and trying to get the borders sealed and all that. And it made it worse because he killed people while he was an immigrant. And even though it was an accident, it happened, and this is where we're at with it. They're trying to push that agenda out. So I mean, I feel really bad for the guy, the driver. Only God knows exactly what was going through his head, and the people that he killed. It's a really sad story, man. But yeah, it's crazy.
People killed, so senseless. So absolutely enraging to see this happening, knowing that none of this, that all this could have been prevented. But Florida, we've been leading on this. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff, I think, as a lot of people know, because we believe it's important, that we have law and order prevail across the spectrum. But Congress, they go on TV and they'll complain about stuff. You have power of the purse. You have power to legislate. You can fix these problems. You really can fix these problems. And I would just love to see some action out of the folks in Washington, D.C.
Every business.
Yeah, nah, I definitely agree with DeSantis. It's a tough situation, man. We got Congress that they're working, but they're not working as diligent or as fast as we think they should be, or they're not working on the tasks that we think they should be working on at the time. We don't know what they're doing in Congress, but at the same time, we got to stop these senseless killings, because this was not necessary. Like I said, I feel bad for the guy. Apparently he's, like I said, he's an immigrant, and maybe I don't know what was going through his mind, but he made a very bad decision, and it costed him big time, and it costed the lives of three innocent people in the state of Florida. And yeah, it pains my heart to hear this. Like, God bless those three people, those three angels that died on that turnpike. And the sad thing about it is I take that turnpike every single day. You know, it can happen to anybody. It can happen to you. It can happen to me. And it's just very important to exercise, exercise better judgment when we're on the road.